At the dawn of the modern age of machines and communications, a slip of a girl christened Alexandrina Victoria, 18 years old and in appearance hardly more than a child, became queen of her country. At the time of writing, nearly a century has passed since her diamond jubilee on the throne celebrated what appeared to be lasting imperial greatness, as well as the Queen's translation into almost mythic status. The Victorian age now requires a library rather than a book. Nevertheless, this volume attempts to explore, within one set of covers, the complex individual behind the statues, coins, stamps, portraits, and place names, behind even the oft-misused adjective Victorian. Queen Victoria was one of the most scrupulously honest of human beings. I would like to think that she would find herself fairly returned to life in these pages. Although the fourth printing of the first edition included changes and updated information, and the first paperback reprint added a bit more, the inevitability for a biographer when his book is widely read is that publication elicits more than fan mail and crank mail. Sometimes one learns of slips to be corrected. Sometimes new information or misinformation arrives. Letters came from readers fascinated by their discovery here of an illegitimate half-sister to Victoria, who preceded her by 30 years, the product of her ducal father's wild oats. It proved to them that family legends about being related, however on the wrong side of the blanket, to the Queen must have been true. One reader even sent me a photograph of the tombstone in Ohio of a forebear described in the inscription as half-sister to Queen Victoria. All such retrospective sightings have been as historically authentic as the identity of the self-announced Dauphin in Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn. I've even been invited by a venerable collector of Victorian memorabilia in London to see and to try on a Victorian nightgown of 1880s vintage in soft white lawn with her embroidered VRI monogram and a pair of her similarly embroidered undergarments. In the interest of biological research, I did examine, but eschewed donning the evidence, which confirms, as only a 47-inch waistband with drawstring can so dramatically do, that the Queen in her Jubilee heyday was of impressive girth for her barely 5 foot, if that, height. Further editions and revisions thus update this edition extensively and add to its accuracy. Whatever the changes, they confirm that Victoria, however fallible in small matters, was indeed a great lady. Stanley Weintraub, University Park, Pennsylvania, January 1996. Chapter 1. Jubilee, 1887. The Queen detested Buckingham Palace. Yet in December 1886 she had returned to the fogs and fumes of a London she loathed to receive a delegation of 200 peeresses of the realm on business related to her Jubilee. Little about Victoria resembled the engaging young girl of 18, whose accession nearly 50 years earlier would be celebrated across the breadth of the empire throughout 1887, and for which the visit of the ladies was preparation. Dressed in black, and in the fashion of 1861, as she had been since the death of the Prince Consort 25 years before, needing a walking stick to support her ample yet tiny frame, she might have been anyone's elderly, well-to-do grandmother. Only Buckingham Palace itself, and the small army of guards in bearskins and courtiers in velvet, suggested the Queen Empress. Some of the peeresses, on their way to the palace, may have seen hoardings that pleaded on behalf of Guy's Hospital. 200 beds closed for lack of funds, special appeal for £100,000. They had come representing a fundraising campaign from the women and girls of the United Kingdom as a mark of their loyal appreciation of Her Majesty's public and private character. The solicitation was to be extended to the colonies, as £75,000 had already been collected in the British Isles alone, in contributions ranging from 1 penny to £1 sterling. Now Victoria was herself invited to decide upon the form which the accumulated offering shall take. Other British ladies, some of them also peeresses, in a Jubilee presentation signed by 1,132,608 women of England,